Hi, in this video I will show you how to put together the Picture of Flowers box card, which is an SVG from Simply Crafty SVGs. So here are the pieces to the card. We have, this is a back panel if you want to write a little sentiment. That'll be on the back. It'll go the opposite way. This goes to the front and this layers over it. You could always put a pattern paper, but I just embossed that piece. Then we have these two pieces for the side, and then this for the back, which will be what this little white optional little message thing that you can put on to write your little message. So what we're going to do right now is this is the card piece. So you can see this is the front of it. What we want to do is we'll put these two panels on. So one's taller than the other. So we'll center those before we put the card together. The reason is that this is going to go over like that. So as you can see, once you fold it, it's only going to be glued in this area. But anyways, so that's a good thing. We're going to put those on first. So I'll put that aside. I'll do that really quick. You just want to center them. And then here we have all the flower pieces. Now I've already assembled, here's the actual leaf portions, the inserts, and here's the flowers. So I've already assembled for the flowers. I'm going to show you how to assemble the others. So of course there's variations of what you can do. So we're just going to pull that over here. So you can see this is kind of loosely based on a Gerbera flower, and I may say it wrong. I kind of looked it up to make sure I said it right, but anyways. So there's 3 different colors. Here is a card with just one color. So I did one already, so this is pretty much what it'll look like. I have some flaws on this because it was a card that I did early on to refine the design. But you know, we have a little tag that you can write whatever you want on it. It's just a blank tag, and that's what that looks like. So, and it'll fold to the left. So I'll say that several times in the video. That's so it fits in the envelope. So we're going to put that down. So we're going to go ahead and make these flowers. So let's go ahead. I'm going to move these out of the way, and I'll show you 2 of them. How I did it, and regardless of what, you know, how I do it, of course you can do it yourself. So we have 3 different sizes, so 2 each of the large size, 2 medium sizes, and 2 small sizes. Then we have the middles of the flowers. And I chose to ink these a little bit of a brown, but they were yellow. But in the file it's brown, so you can do whatever you want. Or another good idea is to either put like a brad in the middle or something like an enamel dot instead of using this middle piece, but it is included. So I'm going to use this pick-me-up, the Silhouette pick-me-up tool, to help me do this. So it has a little something at the end. It's kind of a sticky stuff that will pick it up. I'm just kind of getting it's a little bit loose, so I'm going to kind of tighten it up. But it can pick up things and drop it down without residual. So I'm going to go ahead and get my little art glitter glue. So the way I did it, it doesn't matter really what order, but I'm just going to put a little dot of glue in these 2. So if you want to do this last, that's up to you. I'm just putting pieces of it together. So since I just kind of like, what's nice about this tool is that you can kind of adjust it if you want to with the other side. And then we'll take these, we'll put the smaller one on top of the medium size. We're going to offset it. So as you can see with this, it's offset. So again, I would just put like a dot of glue in the middle of each. You don't need a whole lot. I want a little bit white on that. And we'll go ahead, and you could just use your fingertips, but I'm just going to lightly touch this to pick it up, and then I can turn it and place it where I want. There's another manufacturer, but I just happened to get this a long time ago, but I'm just gently touching it, and that little sticky stuff kind of pulls it up, which is nice. So this is good for real fine work. I think there's some other tools out there that do that too, but this is the only one I have. So now we're going to go ahead, and we have these large pieces. So I'm going to take the end. You can get something sharp like this. I'm going to move that aside. This is just a little stylus that I have, and I'm just going to use the smaller side, which is this side. I'm going to take two of them and just curl up the petals, and I'm using American Crafts textured cardstock, which really curls really well. So you can see it's kind of curled. You can do that for the back one too, but I'm only going to do the two top ones. It's really a preference, but you don't really want too much thickness with it, because this is a card that folds and to place in an envelope. So you want it to make sure that you don't have too much bulkiness. It will be a little bulky, but even if you do all that work and then you put it in there in an envelope, it might flatten it all out anyway. So let's go ahead and add this middle piece, and I'm going to show you what I do with these two, or what I did. I forgot to glue those together, but we'll do that in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead, and I'm just going to center that in that smaller piece. Just kind of press down. Now I'm going to give that a second to dry before I start manipulating. I'm going to pull some of the edges up a little bit. Move to the right a little bit. So let's go ahead and put these together. Again, you want to offset them. So if you want those top panels to be in the blanks and the empty spots. So you want it opposite, so the two layers are kind of opposite, so it makes it fills it up around there. Hopefully I'm making sense. And then we'll do the same thing. So you could put more glue on it. I just kind of went minimalistic. And it gives me a second. It was nice with wet glue, because you could use other adhesive, but it gives you a second to adjust it. So that's one of the reasons I do like wet glue. So now, whoops, let's go ahead. I'm going to take this piece, and I'm just going to go ahead and just hold the middle, kind of bend all the edges up, just to give it a little dimension. So I didn't center that exactly, but you know what? Flowers are not exact. They're all different. So they'll all have their own look. Once we're done with these, we'll just put them aside, and we'll work on the greenery portion for the inserts of the card. So now we're just going to go ahead and put some glue on the middle of these larger flowers, and then you can either place it with a tool like this, or just place it with your hand. And just put it wherever it looks good to you. So now we have all these flowers done. And then we'll be ready to put them on when we finish the insert. So before we move on to the inserts, I did add the panels to the sides of the card. And you can see they're just slightly embossed. So you could do a pattern paper. I just decided to keep it solid in the file. It's solid, but you can go ahead and change the colors. But I quickly also wanted to let you know that we need to put this on as well. So this will be covered by the front panels, but we want to add that on there. So we're just going to match it up to the shape on the front. So I'm going to go ahead, and you can add a little bit here. I'm going to add glue to this part, but on here for the skinnier parts right here, I'm going to add glue on here. So if I drop it, I'll get it in the right place. I just don't want glue coming down and getting everywhere. And I'm using my art glitter glue and my little fine tip applicator. Let me just choke that out. But I'm going to add a little glue down there, and then I'll just do this. Remember, this is going to be covered. So, but this is an easy way to put it on. So you can match it up with the curve down here. So I'm just making sure it matches up. We still have a little wiggle room while the glue is wet. Okay, so that's that. So again, that will be covered by, we're not going to put it on until later, but that'll be covered by this. And then this. So just to give you an idea. Okay, so let's go ahead and put that aside, and then we'll work on the inserts. So that's the front and that's the back. I am using American Crafts textured cardstock. I think I mentioned that earlier. And the reason I'm mentioning that is that it's pretty strong. So I tested it on, I already made 2 other cards with this. And the reason I have all this is to help strengthen it going up. But for some reason, if you're using a thinner cardstock, in the extra stuff folders is basically a support that is like this, but slightly, it just fits right in between here. And it's the same exact size, so you just match it up to layer the cardstock to make it a little bit stronger if you're having issues. That'll happen because I know people use a 65-pound cardstock, but I like the 80-pound textured cardstock. It works fairly well. Really well, actually. So this one, so that's where I think you'd have an issue with this. I can make it a little bit thicker, but I will lose a little bit of the look that I wanted. So, anyways, that's the only weak spot on this one right here. So I would recommend you use that insert, and you can just glue it to the back. You don't have to do it you can do it at the front, but you can just do it upside down and just to the back, and it'll strengthen up something like this. But you'll see it holds up for the flower I'm going to use. So now we're just going to go ahead and layer these pieces on. Now the reason I made it completely up, I could have just kind of changed it up, but I want you to be able to see it. So you can kind of see the pieces. When you're looking at the card in the front, you can see the little details. So it doesn't matter how we really layer them on, but we're going to go ahead and glue those on. So let's do the easy one first, the one that's less time consuming. So you can see it's going to go like that. So look for where these little dots are, and then you want to put glue on this part all the way up there. So I'm just going to go, this is where the flower is going to go, so that's why we still glue that little circle. And just like you did on the front, you just want to put a light amount of glue. And what I'll do right here, because I don't know exactly where it's going to lie, is I'm just going to add some glue on the bottom there. Hold it carefully. I'm sure I'm going to get glue on my hands. Just lining it up on the same shape on the insert. And what's nice about this is if you use, I have 3 different tones of green, however you want to use it. If they're off a little bit, what's nice is that it'll just highlight it. The actual background will highlight will kind of create an edge depending on the color differences. So it actually, so I didn't line it up exactly, but if you can see, it kind of gives it a little bit, you can't even really tell, and it gives it a little bit of edge. So it's not critical, but I'm just a little bit off. But I'm just letting you know because it's not a big deal. So the same thing here. If you wanted to put the middle one on first, you could put the middle one. So the skinny thing right here is how it sits. So if you want to dry fit it, it goes from up there, down there, to there. So this one on the right is not what you want to follow. So I'm going to do this a little bit different than the last one, because I don't have glue on that, so I'm just guessing where it's going to sit. But I'm not too worried because we're going to glue a flower on there. So now I'm just going to, I only added glue to those two. I'm going to add glue to the rest of these back parts. So you could just add glue all to the back of this if you wanted to. I have a tendency to drop things, so I'm going to be really careful. I'm going to start from the top and match it up coming down. So this is the hardest one. I'm not going to glue that bottom piece yet. So I'd start at the top, match up where the leaves are, and then just gently angle it. You're kind of following the top of this because those are other leaves that are overlapping. And I'm following that line. Again, if you're not lined up exactly, there's going to be an interesting effect anyways because of the different tones of green. So you can see I'm just adjusting these real quick. And then I'm just going to add glue. A couple dots of glue to that and just gently place it down. Okay, so we're going to do the same with the other two, so I'll just let you watch me. But again, I would probably start at the top. This time I'm going to add glue to everything but this bottom part. And I'll do that the same on the other side. The thing is that you just really want to be careful because if you drop it, you might get glue on some areas. But you know what? If you do, it's not really that critical because you're not going to be able to see too much into the card. Towards the top you see it more than you do the bottom. So let's get these attached. So now we have everything attached. You can see, you could always use those on another card too. So that's the nice thing about having these full things versus these really can't be used on another design, but these could be used on a card freeform for other cards. So now we're going to decide placement of our flowers. So whether I want white in the front. So let's see, here's where the second level will be. So I'm just trying to decide. So it's up to you what you think will look better. So if you want, so I'm just mixing it up a little bit. So I think I'll just do that. But so that means we'll just glue those top flowers on. So let's go ahead and just add glue to this little portion right here. You could just do it right in the middle. And then you can center it now, or center it or go lower or higher. You have a little leeway here, so you can look from the back where it's sitting. So if you want it lower, you just kind of move it lower, but it has a place to glue to. I'm going to make that middle one be the top one. So however you want to do, whatever you want to place first, just realize one's going to be on top of the other. So we're going to go ahead and put that white one in the middle, but let's go ahead and put this other one on the other side. And I'm going to put the glue off to the side there. This little thing's nice, but it's kind of, it's nice because it does that. But it kind of gets in your way, so when I hold it, sometimes it kind of flips in my way. But I like that it has a little built-on thing to help seal that top part. You could always re-fluff it up if you needed to, and once you get everything on. This one I'm going to put a little bit higher, so you can just go higher up on that little circle. I think I'm just going to add glue right there. So it's not really gluing it on top, but so I'm going to flip it over to get so I can figure out where it is here. So there's the back insert. So let's go ahead and finish the front. So I decided I was going to have them like this. So again, figure out your colors placement before you put it on. You don't need to glue the whole thing. I just kind of created a circle that would not be seen from the front to help you glue it, and whether you wanted to make adjustment to go down or up. So, I mean, you can center them on, and the middle one will be higher. So when I talked about the thing earlier on, you see how that moves a little bit, but it's still holding. So some people might not like that. I didn't want it too thick. Actually, what I'll do is, and it's going to look the same, but what I'll do is just add a little thickness to it up here. Sometimes I do that when I'm doing videos. I have to go in and finalize the file anyway, so it'll be a little thicker up there. Just that piece right here, this middle one, to help support that middle one. Or just use the insert. So you can also add glue to the actual flower like that. Or you could use glue dots or something like that. Again, I like the wiggle room, because I kind of want to see those a little bit. So it's a little bit further down than the other. And you can rotate it however you want. And then the third one. The nice thing is you can throw that up front a little bit. And then you can see pretty much kind of how it's going to look. I mean, it might be a little bit, this might be a little higher, lower, but within the actual card. So the first time that I recorded this video, I didn't think I showed this portion very well. So I'm re-recording it just with the inserts and the card. So I made a slight change to the card since the beginning of the video. So if it looks different, the tab is now on this side, but I didn't want to have to redo the whole video. So again, I didn't like the way it went together. I thought it was too difficult. So we're going to start over. So this portion is just to put these inserts in once you have the flowers and all the greenery on. So at that point in this video, that's where we're at. So we're going to start over. So we're going to go ahead, and you would have everything on here. And we're going to, these naturally fold back, but we're going to fold them up for the spacing for the card. So you can see that's the front of the card. It's going to be like that. And these will go backwards. So this will go towards the back of the card. So that will be folded back. So those tabs will fold back. So we're going to do one at a time. We're going to do them kind of together too, because this actually worked really well. I did it a different way and it worked well. So these are folded up. So obviously we want the textured side down, or wherever the the design will be down. But for this one, you can kind of flip it over and you see this fold right here? That fold? You're just going to go ahead. We want to have this down. So we want this top to go below that. So you just kind of want to just eyeball it down. And that's pretty much a good place because we just kind of want this down so you don't see as much of the top of this. And we're going to have this little edge of the tab to the left of the tab fold. So just remember, this is upside down. And these are folded forward. But since I'm going to have this part, I can see the textured part up because I'm going to fold it that way. Okay. So I have it far enough down so it'll go down below, and before it dries I'm just making sure it's kind of straight by eyeballing at the top. So there you go. Then we're just going to fold this over carefully. You'll have flowers and stuff on it. So just fold it carefully over. And then what's going to happen is this is just going to fold over and glue on that. But before we do that, I found this works quite well. So you could do that. There's two options. You can go ahead at this point and glue it, but it'll be attached. I found this works pretty well. So again, this is going to go that way because we want the textured side down. So I'm looking at the textured side right now. I have a little piece that's not out. So I'll end up making this card after the fact, but that's why I did it in the right colors, but I'm not going to do the whole card again, just for this part. So we need it to go down. So this one, you can line it up. And you can go a little high, well, about the same. But you can line it up to line up to the bottom or a little bit higher to that one. And then we're going to make sure that this edge, remember the textured side, the front is down. This edge is to the left, to the right of this fold. So that'll be the back of the card. I'm trying to make this card as easy as possible because it's kind of small. Whoops. I placed it down before I got it in place. So I've got it in place. I'm just kind of going across, making sure it's as straight as can be. Okay. So the difference is we're going to glue, this is going to glue right here. We're going to add glue there. And this one's going to fold like this. And glue is going to be added like that. So you see that? And it's just going to fold over and glue on both. So we can do them both at once. So make sure you only add glue to the right of this little tab fold so it's completely open. And you can see that it's going to just a little bit to the left of this fold. So it's matching the other side. And this one, fold to the left. So make sure it's folded back. And add glue on that, so hopefully you can see. Then what we'll do is just carefully fold this over. And then we'll just apply pressure. And you can see, you may have this one, just so you know, this right there. You may have to pull that one up. Same thing with this one. If you have to bend this little one in, if you go higher, this will clear it. So I just went a little bit too low. But if you need to, you can always just kind of cut it off too. I tried to make it consistent, but I realized people are going to go higher and lower. So the higher you go, these are going to clear. The lower you go. So I went a little bit lower than normal. So you can see all I have to do is to close this. So now we're just going to add glue to this tab. And then fold it over. So we'll want to fold it to the left because that's how it's going to go in the card, but you can see this one clears on here. So you may have an issue with that little piece, but it should be okay. You can always trim it off if you don't like it too. So the little piece in here that gets stuck. But again, if you go a little bit higher, that won't do that. And that's what I did on my original card. I just went a little bit lower than normal on this. So I would recommend going a little higher on that back one, just so this clears. So there you go. That's how you put that together, and it's easier than the first time I tried it. And then I'm going to show you this too really quick. In your extra stuff folder, there is a generic version without this greenery and without greenery in here that you can use for your own flowers. You'll just have to take the panels off the original card file that's included with the file, but this is included just this little card portion and the inserts in your extra stuff folder in the SVG file once you unzip it. So naturally, when we put it in the envelope, we're going to fold like this anyways. So you want to make sure that you're folding that way. So I did it both ways, but this is the most important way to do it. Like that. I know I don't have a little panel there, but you'll see in a minute. Because if you do it the other way, it's going to make the card wider than it needs to be for the envelope. Let me just throw my stuff everywhere. So you want to kind of train the card to go to the left. So this is the left panel, and then this, whether it's blank or you have a panel on there. Like I said, I chose not to put one on this one. So now all the hard part's done. That was the hard part. So you can open it up and you can see it. Different layers. You can see it flattens. A little bit bulky, but not too bad. So now the next thing is we want to add this. So we're going to add this and then this panel. So I made this cardstock to be used for any time because we have Mother's Day. I know that's already passed in the UK, but Mother's Day in the US, and we're going to go ahead and add glue just right here. Because it's shaped, it's bigger than this panel. And we're going to line the edge up, and I'll show you how you line it up. We're going to line it up with the top part and the bottom part. But anyways, this would be good for Mother's Day. It could be a get well card. It could be a sympathy card. It's just an overall card that can be used for a birthday card. I made this one a birthday card. So what I'm doing is I'm lining up right here, the bottom flat piece, the left edge of the flat portion down, and then it lines up here. So you can kind of see it lining into place. And you can just go ahead. That's a nice part. We can just flatten. We're applying pressure. So the same thing. We're just going to put this top panel on, and I created this panel so you could emboss it or put like a pattern paper or something like that. And then we'll just line that up. So that's the same exact size. The only difference is it doesn't have a handle. So with that dimension. I had a little glue leakage, so it kind of, so make sure you be careful with that. But you see how all the things lined up? I had it shift on me just a little bit inside, but it lines up. This is the one, I wouldn't say this is the easiest one to line up inserts, but the way I wanted it, I kind of had to do it this way. So it does work out, even when you think you make a mistake. So again, I want it kind of trained that way, so we're going to flip it around, and we'll add, I'm just going to go ahead and add this little piece, which is, make sure we have it right. So it goes the opposite way. So this is just so you can add your own little message, write something. And then the front tag, I'll show you the, it's a blank tag, but the front tag it's just blank, and I intended it that way so you can just write whatever you want to do. Sometimes I include a bunch of things with it, but you know, honestly, a lot of people don't use them, and for this card I didn't think it was necessary, because I think that this is kind of one of those all occasion cards. Then we're going to go ahead and line up that left corner, that flat part, so this flat part is the same size as the front and back. And it lines up with the top as well. So you can kind of do a little adjustment until it sits in place. And that's why we put glue on the actual box and not this, because we don't want glue right here. So if you do like these projects, I would appreciate a little thumbs up and or on the video. If you haven't subscribed yet, I would also appreciate that. It just helps. But anyways, I lost my train of thought. I'm allowed these days. So I did little step double, like a foam tape. That's Scotch foam tape I'm using. And I wrote with it on my Cricut. I used a pen to write happy birthday. So this is not included, the actual happy birthday part. It's just a blank tag, like I said. And I'm just going to center it on this. I just have to move it where I can see it without getting my head in the camera here. So there's a little back panel. And then for this one, like I said, I wanted to make it a birthday. So I'm just going to add a little glue to that. And then the card is done. And then we'll just put together the envelope really quick so you can, that comes with it. So you can always go flat. Remember, you want to go to the left for the envelope. So now we have these two different versions. So you can see how you can change it with flower color and picture color. I just kind of call it picture. Now we can go ahead and put the envelope together. You can see it's just folds like this. The larger piece on the bottom that's the bottom part, and then the top is the smaller piece. Now there's a smidgen of a gap here, but it's not a huge deal. So it's going to be a smidgen. It's just the way it's folded, but it should line up. So you just want to find out how far you can glue. So you could either kind of glue like this. You can go in. You just don't want to go beyond. And then I'm just eyeballing it. I usually get glue on the outside a little bit. But the other thing is you can just do that. And just make sure you don't get it towards the middle. I know I'm being kind of haphazard, but these are pretty much a simple thing if you do envelopes. Just making sure you get the glue in this area on the bottom part so that it doesn't glue together. And then this will go ahead and slide in. The other thing I suggest, usually with any card like this, it fits really well. Any card like this, I usually with dimensional cards, so they don't get, because it has a little thickness to it, I usually put a piece of cardstock on the top and bottom. I usually fold it around depending on the size of the card. So it just protects the card in transit if you send it in the mail. I mean, I do a lot of hand carries for these type of cards, but I do send them in the mail, and they usually get through without any kind of issue. So that's it. So we have that card. And I lost my other card here. Hold on. So you can see the two different looks if you do the colored flowers, or you can do all in one color, or you can vary it. It's a nice thing because it just looks different. It's the same card, but there's a different looks. Even if you used like pattern paper, that would give it a whole different feel. I'm not even sure what that looked like with this, but it'd be fun to try. So thanks for watching, and until next time.